I still remember the exact moment my phone buzzed in my hand, the screen lighting up with my mom's name. Because even before I answered, a strange heaviness settled in my chest, like my body already knew what her voice was going to say. I had called her with a simple request, something I thought was reasonable, something families do for each other without thinking twice. I just needed her to watch my kid for a few hours. That was it. No big favor, no long-term commitment, just help. But instead of warmth or concern, her voice came through cold and firm, and the words she said hit harder than I was prepared for. I couldn't watch your kid. You're on your own. What happened next didn't just change my plans for that day, it changed my entire relationship with my family, and the way everyone saw me forever. At first, I honestly thought she was joking. I even laughed a little, waiting for her to soften it with a just kidding or some explanation about being busy. But the silence on the other end of the line stretched on, and that's when it hit me that she was serious. My mom, the woman who raised me, who always talked about family sticking together, had just drawn a line and pushed me to the other side of it. My mind started racing, not just with logistics, but with old memories, old patterns, and a lifetime of moments where I had been expected to show up, help out, and sacrifice without ever questioning it. I took a deep breath and asked her why. I tried to keep my voice calm, even respectful, because that's how I was raised. Her answer was vague at first. She said she was tired. She said she had plans. Then, almost as an afterthought, she added that my child was too much work and that she'd already done her time raising kids. Those words hurt more than the refusal itself. It wasn't just a no, it was a dismissal, not only of my situation but of my child, her own grandchild. As soon as I hung up, I just sat there staring at the wall, my kid playing quietly on the floor, completely unaware of the emotional earthquake happening inside me. I felt embarrassed for even asking, angry for being refused, and, deeper than that, betrayed, because this wasn't coming from a stranger or an acquaintance, it was coming from my own mother. And suddenly, I couldn't stop replaying all the times I had been there for her without hesitation. I thought about the weekends I'd given up to help her move furniture. The nights I'd rushed over because she just needed someone there. The times I'd dropped my own plans because she was upset or lonely. I never once told her she was on her own. Not once. And yet, here I was, needing her for a few hours, being told flat out that I didn't matter enough. The situation itself was stressful. I had an important commitment that day, one I couldn't cancel without serious consequences. It wasn't something optional or fun. It was something that could impact my job and my financial stability. I had already gone through every other option in my head before calling her. Friends were working. Babysitters were unavailable on short notice. I had saved calling my mom as a last resort because I genuinely believed family was supposed to be there when things got tough. After sitting in shock for a few minutes, I felt something shift inside me. It was like a switch flipped. Instead of panicking or begging, I felt this strange calm mixed with resolve. If she had decided I was on my own, then fine, I would handle it. But I wouldn't forget it. I started making calls. I scrambled. Yes. But I also started thinking creatively. I reached out to someone I hadn't talked to in a while, explained the situation honestly, and asked for help. To my surprise, they didn't hesitate. They rearranged their schedule, offered support, and even reassured me that things would be okay. That kindness, coming from someone who didn't owe me anything, made my mom's refusal sting even more. By the time everything was settled, I was exhausted, not physically, but emotionally. I dropped my kid off, thanked the person helping me more times than I could count, and headed to my commitment with my thoughts in knots. All day long, my mom's words echoed in my head, "You're on your own." And the more I thought about it, the more I realized those words weren't new. They were just finally being said out loud. Growing up, I was always the responsible one, the one who didn't need much attention, the one who could handle things. My siblings were the ones who got sympathy, second chances, and extra help. I learned early on that being strong meant not asking for anything. And maybe that's why this moment hurt so much, because when I finally did ask, when I finally needed help, I was shut down completely. When I got home later that evening and picked up my kid, everything seemed normal on the surface. But inside, something had changed. I didn't call my mom to tell her how the day went. I didn't update her. I didn't reach out at all. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about it. A few days later, She called me. Her tone was casual, almost cheerful, like nothing had happened. She talked about her week, complained about small things, and then casually asked how I managed that day. I paused before answering. This was the moment I realized I had a choice. I could brush it off like I always did, or I could finally be honest. So I told her. I told her it hurt. I told her I felt abandoned. I told her that being told I was on my own made me rethink how much effort I put into always being there for her. There was a long silence on the other end. Then she got defensive. She said I was overreacting. She said I was trying to guilt her. She said she didn't owe me childcare. And that's when it clicked. She wasn't wrong about one thing. She didn't owe me childcare. But I also didn't owe her unlimited emotional labor, constant availability, or unquestioning loyalty. Relationships go both ways, even between parents and adult children. After that conversation, I started pulling back, not in a dramatic, explosive way, just quietly. I stopped jumping every time she called. I stopped rearranging my life to suit her needs. I started setting boundaries, real ones, not just words I said and never enforced. At first, it felt wrong. I felt selfish. I felt like a bad child. But over time, something surprising happened. I felt lighter, less resentful, more in control of my own life. And the more I changed, the more other people noticed. My siblings started asking why I wasn't around as much. Family members started commenting on how different I seemed. Even my mom noticed. She complained that I was distant, that I didn't care like I used to. And that's when the situation truly came full circle. One evening, months later, my mom called me in a panic. She needed help, urgent help. Something had come up, and she needed me to step in immediately. I listened calmly as she explained, my heart pounding, because I knew exactly what was being tested in that moment. When she finished, I took a deep breath and said, as evenly as I could, that I couldn't help her this time. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't sound angry. I just said I had other responsibilities and couldn't drop everything. There was silence again, thick and heavy. She asked me what she was supposed to do, and without even planning it, the words came out of my mouth, I guess you're on your own. The reaction was explosive. She accused me of being cruel. She said I was punishing her. She said she couldn't believe I would treat her that way. But for the first time in my life, I didn't back down. I calmly reminded her of the day she said the same thing to me, when I was desperate and needed help with my child. That moment shocked everyone. My siblings took sides. Some said I was finally standing up for myself. Others said I was being petty. My mom stopped talking to me for a while. And honestly, it was hard. I won't pretend it wasn't, but it was also freeing. During that time, I focused on my own little family, my kid, my responsibilities, my mental health. I built a support system that didn't rely on guilt or obligation. I learned to ask for help from people who actually wanted to help. And I learned to say no without explaining myself to death. Eventually, my mom reached out again. This time, her tone was different, softer, more careful. She didn't apologize outright, but she acknowledged that maybe she hadn't been fair. That maybe she took me for granted because I always handled things on my own. That was all I needed to hear, not because it erased the pain, but because it confirmed what I had already learned. People treat you the way you allow them to. And the moment you stop accepting less than you deserve, everything changes. Looking back now, I realize that day wasn't just about childcare. It was about respect, about boundaries, about finally stepping out of a role I never chose but was expected to play. My mom saying you're on your own forced me to actually become independent in the healthiest way possible, not by doing everything alone, but by choosing who deserved access to my time and energy. The irony is that my life improved after that moment. My relationships became more balanced, my stress levels dropped, and my kid grew up watching me stand up for myself, which might be the most important lesson of all. So yes, my mom refused to watch my kid. She told me I was on my own. And what I did next shocked everyone, not because it was dramatic or cruel, but because I finally chose myself. And once I did, there was no going back.